Hi everyone, welcome to my backyard, and here's a quick morning energizing yoga sequence to follow along to. Start at the middle of your mat with your feet hip width apart and your arms out to your sides. You'll lift up your arms, you'll stretch towards the sky, the ceiling, and reach. And then as you start to exhale, you bend at the knees, sitting down and reaching into chair. Inhale to stand up tall, arch the back a little bit if it feels good to. Exhale, down. Inhale up. Exhale, forward and down. Find a nice bend in your knees that's comfortable for your ankles and your back. And follow through as many times as you like. Make sure that you're following your breath. Inhaling to lift, arch the back slightly, squeeze the glutes a little, and then as you sit down, release your arms. Really let the arms drop. Now, as you continue to do this, I'm going to go into a chair just to show those of you that don't want to leave the chair this morning the alternative to this. So continue if you're following. Otherwise, if you like to, you can go into a chair, and I'll show you the version here. Sitting at the front edge of the seat, not at the back of the chair. Feet are still hip width apart, comfortably placed, feet planted into the floor. Inhale to lift, arch the back just a little, and then fold forward over your legs and draw up your arms. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, forward. Finding this movement slow and in line with your breath. Always inhaling to lift. Exhaling to reach forward and down. Dropping those shoulders, dropping the arms. Follow through. Do as many of these as you like, and then we'll move on to the next movement. Okay, our next pose, you're standing with your legs wide apart. Have a chair nearby up to the front of your mat or the edge of your mat so you can use it if you need to, and I'll show you that. Have your feet turned out so your heels are in, toes are out, and you're going to lean to one side. I'm leaning to my right side, resting my right arm onto my leg, or if you rather, use the chair to place your hand on, or even a little bit lower, your forearm. So I want you to find this position first before we move the upper body and the arm. So if you're going to use a chair, make sure you're using a stable chair that's not too soft and that you're going to rest into easily and comfortably. Without the chair, elbow on the knee, forearm on the knee, and you're going to take this is my right side, taking your left hand down towards the ground as far as you can comfortably reach for your back and your torso, side body. And you're going to either reach back behind your foot a little bit, down towards your ankle, or just reach towards your knee. So you have 3 levels to reach to, whatever feels best for your body and your balance. Reaching down to wherever you're going, and then as you start to exhale, swing that arm up and back behind you, just to open up the chest and create some space into your front body. Inhale down, reach, exhale back. Stabilize this pose by noticing how your feet are firm to the floor. Your elbow or arm are resting on your leg or the chair. And reaching. Now, you can continue this movement, follow through as many times as it feels good to, and then move to the opposite side. But while I'm here on this one side, I'll show you a little bit more of a challenging option. Once you're ready to lift up, roll yourself up away from the leg, pull your toes in, and circle your hips. Finding a little bit of movement into the pelvis. Roll your shoulders, move your hips, and wake up the back. Before I go on to the option here, in this position, bring your arms out in front of you. I'm going to return to what we were doing, and turn your thumbs down so the back of your hands are touching. They don't have to, but try to get them in. And then you're going to pull the arms out, and you're going to lean forward just a little bit. Now, I'm not falling down. I'm not locking my back up. I'm just reaching like I'm going to push water through beside me and open up the chest. Drop the arms up, thumbs down, and scoop. Up, thumbs down, and scoop. Now I want to talk about the knees. As you continue to do this, don't lock your knees back. So in other words, as you follow through, keep the knees soft, nicely bent, and a sense of weight into your feet and into your hips. So I'm scooping, lifting, and scooping, like I'm swimming through water. Looking down towards the floor for a better sense of stability and movement. Follow through as many as you like. Keep the breath moving through each side of this pose and movement. And then back to center. Returning to our lawnmower pose. I showed you the easier version. We'll go on to a little more challenging pose. You can move back and forth to what I just offered, the swimming pose and the lawnmower pose. Toes are out, heels are in. And then reaching down, just resting your hand on your thigh. This is again the more challenging pose. You sweep yourself down just like I showed you earlier. Reach back behind your leg or foot, and then exhale and push back. Look over your shoulder. Inhale, exhale. So you can find this movement to be a little bit more of a cardio boost. Move carefully, move easily, and move with your breath. Inhale down, exhale back. Inhale down, exhale back. And when ready, back to center. That's what you'll try on the other side, so remember what you're doing. Hands at the heart. When done, all right, here we are on our next pose. Waking up this morning with your feet apart, legs apart comfortably, heels are in. Similar to what you did with the lawnmower movement we just did. Making sure that when your feet are apart, you're not struggling with your knees, your ankles, or the balance you have in your hips. Comfortably apart means you're still able to stand tall and move your upper body, bend your knees, straighten your legs, and have your toes pointed out without feeling wobbly. So here we are. This is chopping the wood. Interlace your hands, fingers, out in front of you. You're going to bend down, a bit of a squat, arms through your legs, and then up. Inhale, exhale. This movement strengthens your legs, your glutes, your back, opens up the underline of your arm, inside of your arm and your armpit, down the chest. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Follow through as many more as you like. An alternative to this movement would be using the chair. Put the chair out in front of you like that. This is just for support. Having your feet in the same position, toes turned out, arms out in front of you. Clasp your hands without too much tension. Bending your squat pose, sitting down, hands touch the chair. When you inhale, you're sitting down, hands are on the seat. When you exhale, you lift your arms and you straighten your legs. Inhale, touch down, exhale. Now this is a comfortable movement because you have the chair for a better sense of balance. Moving forward, doing as many as you like. Let it feel like there's a great sense of energy in your back, in your legs, in your chest. Our next pose is cat and cow. You can use a chair, and I'll show you first this version. Placing the chair on your mat, And you're standing about 2 feet away from the front of the seat. Reach your hands to the corners of the chair and move your feet back. This is not a downward dog or a variation of downward dog. You're in somewhat of a tabletop, so you feel your back is straight. Your legs are straight without locking your knees. Cat and cow. We start in cat. Exhale, round up your back. Inhale, look forward, tip your pelvis up, tailbone lifts, chest extends, and there's a nice stretch from your chest bone all the way down to your tummy and into your hips. Exhale, cat, round up your back, tucking in your chin, stretching the spine up and the belly button engages. Inhale to look forward, lift your tail. Exhale, round up your back. When ready, you'll come down onto your hands and knees. Pause, cut that part out. Come into a neutral position and then rest onto your knees. The chair no longer needed if you're going to go into this version. Tabletop pose. Your hands are about 4 inches forward of your shoulders, so there's a slight angle in your arms. And similar to what we just did with the chair. Exhale to lift your back. Pull up your tummy, tuck down the tail, and tuck in your chin. Inhale slowly to bring your chin up, your gaze forward, and your belly button down. You're also trying to adjust your pelvis to tip the tailbone up. So there's a nice dip in the low back. And then the exhale, you extend the spine, lower back. Continue, and I'll just talk a little bit more about finding this pose. Once you start in tabletop, you're going to notice that maybe you're a little stiff in your hips or your back or your shoulders. So don't over-force either side of this movement. Let it be a spinal stretch. Don't try to over-tilt your pelvis or over-tuck your tailbone. So maybe just start in an even position and just wake up the tummy and the low back by lifting and dropping, instead of going into that hard, rounded back that might feel a little too intense for first thing in the morning. So again, noticing that you're moving through the spine, and that's the most important focus here. Continue and have fun with this, and rest in child's pose when you're done. All right, our last pose. Coming down onto your back, bridge. Once you're down, some of you might need something behind your head or your neck. So support your head with nothing that lifts your head too high, but just basically supports the back of the neck and the curve of the neck. Nothing that lifts your head like this high. Don't do that. Head stays down, nose points up, and your knees come in towards your chest. Relax your shoulders. Without pulling on your legs, just hold on to your legs and allow the breath to take over, and the breath to bring that experience of length in your back, a nice softening through your tummy and your face. When you're ready, take one foot to the floor and then the other for bridge. Now, make sure your feet are tucked in towards your hips, not so that they're behind your knees or forward of your knees, but into a position that's comfortable for your knees, and maybe even touching your middle finger to your outer heel. Your head is centered, and you're going to turn your palms down onto the floor and inhale to lift your hips. Now the first 3 times you're just going to go up on the inhale and then down slowly. Up on the inhale and down slowly. As you're lifting, notice your feet, your hands down, your shoulders down, and your neck supported without lifting your chin towards your chest. Now, as you lift up, and when you feel ready, you find a nice height of your hips. So there's some work in the glutes, there's some energy in the feet, and you're feeling that your upper middle back wants to leave the floor. So find this height that's good for your back. good for your legs, good for your shoulders. I can still feel the heels with my finger. Coming down out of this pose, don't just drop your hips, but roll your spine down. You might feel a bit of a broadening through the upper back, and you're placing every vertebrae down onto the floor very carefully until you settle onto your sacrum, the back of the pelvis. If you need to, knees to the chest. And then return into your bridge. Cut, and then I'm going to pause, and I'm going to come back with a variation, just to focus. Before you lift and bridge, just a few pointers. Make sure that your feet are parallel and that they're as wide as your outer hips. So finding your heels is a good indicator. Also notice that your knees don't drop out, and really important, your toes or your feet don't point out. Really make sure that that feels stable, because this is the focus when you take your body off the floor. It'll be a lot easier and more comfortable if you have your feet, your knees, your legs in a strong position as aligned with your hips. The other point I want to mention is when you lift up your hips, don't feel you have to arch the back. When you inhale to lift up, just let this be sort of a workout for your butt. Think about that. And then when you want to, you might want to tuck in your shoulder blades and hands are still flat on the floor. Also, you might want to bring your hands onto your hips just to bring identity, or identify rather, the hips are off the floor, and you can feel them with your fingers and your hands. You can understand the line that you're creating from your knees to your thighs, to your hip flexors, and down into the chest. Always keep your head centered. Don't turn your head side to side. Always coming down slowly as you exhale, peeling your back into the floor so you can settle onto your sacrum nice. Again, to relax, either knees in for a breath or two, or legs apart, arms to the floor, and let this be your mini Shavasana. Play around with your bridge. Listen to your body. Listen to your breath. Be patient, be mindful. Namaste.